understand what I'm about to tell you, you need to do something first. You need to believe in the impossible. Can you do that?
What do you desire that you can't have?
When I eat a brain, I get visions.
Don't ever come back to Gotham.
You have failed this city.
Jesus, what kind of a preacher are you?
There's about a dozen ways that I could stop you right now. But I don't think I have to.
Because where I'm from, your grandson becomes the greatest hero in the universe.
Now you should at least give a brother a moment to say something heroically clever.
In the future, my friends may not be heroes, but if we succeed, they will be remembered as legends.
Welcome to the DC TV report for the week ending Saturday, April 7th, 2018. I'm Edward O'Hare, nickname to be determined.
And I'm Sara, academic by day, freelance writer by night.
We're here to bring you recaps, news, and commentary for all live-action television shows based on DC Comics.
And they gave us a break, and we only have 5 new episodes this week.
Mm-hmm. But there was one penultimate episode.
Ooh, and it's the show I think I'm going to miss the most, honestly. Of the ones that we're talking about right now.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah. Definitely.
So Ed, how you doing?
I'm good. A lot going on, in these, lot to talk about. One thing, we might as well start off with the chit chat, because there was a couple of tweets we got about off-topic things, specifically our friend Dan from Deconstructing Dad's podcast at Deke273 wants to know what we thought of the live Jesus Christ Superstar from Easter weekend.
So, okay, I'm going to do a separate podcast just on this, and it's just going to be me saying it was so good until I run out of oxygen and pass out. So,
okay,
I that's one of my favorite musicals. Period. Full stop. And so, unlike all the other, like the Peter Pans and the Greases and the things that they've done recently that I watched, I don't really care for those musicals. I love Jesus Christ Superstar. So my expectations were high for the music, but low for the production, and it blew me away. The costumes, the acting, the staging, the singing, all of it. It was so good. So good. They turned some of the songs into a critique of like modern media and social media, and it was so good. I loved it. Thank you, Dan, for asking. It was so good. Ed, what did you think?
I think I missed it. I don't know.
What? Are you kidding?
Yeah, I'm not a big live musical guy, and I know this is kind of like not the point, but like Jesus Christ Superstar is an amazingly well-written musical, but it's one of those shows that whenever I'm at a play, I go, oh, why are they still singing?
You live so close to the nexus of live musicals. Wow. I actually think the reason this one worked better, my sister Laura and I were talking about this, and I think it's because it's a rock opera, so you don't stop and have the kind of goofy overacting that you have with Grease, where you sing and then you stop and you're like, but Sandy, how can you, it's all sung, and I think that kind of helped keep the momentum going and the feeling going, and they'd be smart to try to do more, I think, all sung shows like that. But then I am not a heathen, and I do like live music, so I happen to appreciate the genius of Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. Same reason I can't stand Evita, just because like the music is so constant. I just don't feel like you have a time to like breathe.
I have never felt more disconnected from your opinions than right now. I'm shook.
Yeah, well, it's also,
to my core.
No, I'm saying this is totally on me. This is I take full responsibility. I know this is not the popular opinion. It's just like, I don't know. Like, to me, I want to revel in the acting, and for some reason, a lot of times the music gets in the way. But,
yeah, I see that. I kind of like the challenge of acting through the music. To me, that just increases the technical difficulty. So when you find actors who can actually do that, and I like I said, my expectations weren't super great coming into it because, John Legend is a singer, Sarah Bareilles is a singer, but I thought they acquitted themselves nicely. And then, oh my gosh, the supporting cast was incredible. So good stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
One other thing I do want to mention. Last week we were chatting a bit about we were toying with the idea of what to do in the summer when things kind of died down a bit. And you mentioned that maybe we could do is a DC TV book report where we read graphic novels from DC lore and kind of a chat about them. Steph from the Gotham Lights podcast heard that, and I heard their most recent episode of Gotham Lights today, and they seemed really into that idea. So
I am excited about this. I hope this works.
Yeah, so we're not making any promises. I know on Gotham Lights they like to cover Orville in their off season. In their off weeks, and I think they only got about halfway through that first season of Orville. So I don't know exactly how this is going to work. This is, we got to go through contract negotiations because it's different networks, and so it may take a little bit of time, and but I'm sure we'll be able to work it out.
But no, I think it's kind of cool, to look at what comics might be good, or what novelizations of comics, or spin-offs, or things like that. So there's a lot of potential for some interesting discussion.
Yeah. In fact, at Bauer Fett gave us a suggestion for our first one. I think this is an actual novel, not necessarily a graphic novel, but it's called In Heroes, I'm Dead by Michael Stackpole. He says it's a superhero noir. It's a New York Times bestseller.
That sounds very cool. That's not a book I'd heard of before. So, I always love getting recommendations like that. Yeah.
And if that is a graphic novel and I have total egg on my face right now, I'm sorry. That might be the case, but we'll see.
No, it's a book.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
No pictures from what I'm seeing here. So.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thanks for the recommendation. It's nice to hear from people. And we do have a couple of emails that we're going to get into a little later in the show.
And hey, Ed, if people want to talk to us about books or live musicals or what have you, where can they find us?
They can find us, they can email us at dctv@wickedtheory.com. Also on the Twitters at DCTV Report, and I'm at Edward O'Hare TBD.
And I'm at Sara Netzley. So you can find us.
Yeah, we're going to repeat those again later in the show in case you didn't catch it, or you don't, you feel a little too lazy to rewind.
I mean, maybe the phone is in your pocket and the headphones are in your ear and your hands are full of something and you can't, maybe you're doing dishes, your hands are wet, you can't. I just created a rich backstory for our listeners there.
Yeah. Or,
deep inner lives.
You're sitting at your desk doing data entry, and you don't want your boss to see that to see that you're handling your phone when you should be doing work. I know how it is. But yeah, and that's and also one other thing I do want to point out. If you get a chance, and if you have Apple Podcasts or Stitcher, Google Play, or anything, if whatever app you're using allows you to rate and review us, please do that. It helps us out, especially on Apple Podcasts. That gets our notoriety up, and it's easier for people to find us.
We want to be notorious bank robbers, so
Yeah, every little bit helps.
I hear notorious, I think bank robbers. That's how it goes for me. So make that happen for us.
Yeah.
5 stars.
You know what? When I was it's a day camp, as a kid in like 3rd grade, my nickname was Biggie Smalls, and I didn't know what that meant until I got into high school. So. I would just be, I'd come up to kick, it would be my turn at bat at kickball, and then all of a sudden everyone on my team would start screaming, "Notorious!" I had no idea what that meant. Then
Did your mother have to pry your sobbing form out of the car to deposit you at camp? Or was that just me with Girl Scout camp?
Well, this was day camp. If this had been like...
that's... Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Day camp is fine. Day camp is just playing with friends.
Yeah.
Girl Scout sleepaway camp was, nights away from home. And as it turned out, my cabin had a praying mantis that just slept over my bed. So I slept not at all for those 3 nights because it just sat there glaring at me, and it was very formative.
Okay. So I get, because I know my sister, Irene, who I think is listening to this, has her Girl Scout Gold Award. And she used to go on Mommy and Me weekends. I don't know if you had that kind of thing. That was
no. My mom abandoned me in the woods for the praying mantises, and I'm still kind of angry.
See, like, I guess with Girl Scouts it's different. With Boy Scouts, when that would happen, there was always one guy in the troop who was the bug guy, who was just like obsessed with bugs, and you just said praying mantis, he'd come up, and he'd have the Dixie cup, which came out of nowhere because no one brought Dixie cups. And the flashlight.
He just has an insect Dixie cup in his back pocket at all times, just in case.
Yeah. And just, all right, what are we doing?
All right, folks, what do we got?
He'd play around with that thing for like 3 hours, which was hard because, you'd want to go to sleep. And he's like, no, I gotta get up, and he's scrounged around to get like dirt and grass to make like the little habitat that you make for them inside of the
So
train.
he's being like, he's keeping it, he's not doing terrible things to it or anything. He's like sciencing it.
Yeah, exactly. You throw some some dirt and grass in a little Chinese food container, poke some holes at the top, and you observe him, and then at the end of the week, you let him out into the woods.
Sure, obviously. Yeah. Now, Ed, you can tell me, were you an Eagle Scout?
Yes, I am an Eagle Scout.
I'm sorry. That's a for life thing.
Yes. As is my little brother who's in Hawaii right now.
My dad was an Eagle Scout. Still is. Yeah. Still is an Eagle Scout.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Environmental science merit badge. Don't ever let anyone make merit badges are hard. Everyone jokes about merit badges are really hard because it's basically like an introduction to any type of occupation that you might have. I mean, there are easy stuff like basketry and leatherwork, but like there are other things where like personal management and first aid and stuff that are actually really challenging. And I don't know, I always have this self-conscious thing. I feel like scouting gets a bad rap. People think it's really nerdy when it's definitely not.
This has taken a turn.
Yeah.
Long story short, since that experience with the mantis, I have tried never to sleep anywhere that doesn't seal tight with air conditioning. So,
all right, good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know. All right, you ready? All right, we spent too long on this. This was fun. But...
So ready.
Yeah.
So ready.
All right, let's jump into it. Here we go. So, kicking off with DC's Legends of Tomorrow, Season 3, penultimate episode. Guest starring John Noble. Sara sent Wally and Nate to stop Amaya from changing history in 1992 Zambezi. After stopping Gorilla Grodd from attacking a young Barack Obama, the Legends were approached by Damien Dark, who offered to help them defeat Mollis and save Nora. Last minute reveal, in the heat of the battle for Zambezi, Damien double-crossed the Legends and allowed Malice to take his true form.
Poor Nora.
Yeah.
So I have so enjoyed this season. I am going to miss this show. I am very sad this was the penultimate episode, but what a fun episode.
Yeah.
Beginning and ending for me with John Noble's real accent, which I forgot that he's not an American dude. I genuinely did. So what a fun way to get the actual actor on the show. A great nod to his probably best known role, unless you're a Fringe person, in which case, hats off. So good.
Yeah, I definitely, I love this too. I thought it was, you could tell this was just kind of like a one-day thing where they just had him on set. And it was a weird pull, but I thought that was a clever way to get around it.
But that's one of my favorite things that Legends does is weird little nods to either famous people that they bring into the show, fictional famous people, like the Steven Spielberg thing, or something like this. How do we get John Noble on the show? Well, sure, let's flash back to when he was filming Return of the King. Why not? It's just that they're so clever with the way they play with celebrities, real and actors. Speaking of, what a great Barack Obama impression that guy did.
Yeah. You know what? I thought It's weird because this kind of harkened back to like the George Lucas episode, and I thought that was handled well. I thought.
Oh, George Lucas, not Steven Spielberg. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, whichever director, whichever legend.
Yeah. And I thought they did a good job of veering away from politics. They didn't make this a political episode. It was just kind of like, this is someone who's going to happen to become president. The one thing I wasn't really happy with was when Sarah Lance went back to him for advice. Like, I get the vibe that they were going for, but it didn't make as much sense to me because, like, he'd have no clue. And, at that point, he's probably still just a guy in college who wants to get laid. I don't know if he'd have the same, wisdom that he may have had 20 years later.
Yeah, that felt a little fan servicey to me. More than anything else that they did with him. That was the one scene I maybe could have done without, but it did it gave us more of the impression, which again was impressive. Yeah. So. Yeah.
A couple of tweets we got for this episode. At Deke273 pointed out that he's pretty sure that you, Sarah, giggled with glee over Ray's code song.
I did.
Yeah.
Very first thing in my notes is just Ray's song and a million exclamation marks.
Yeah. And I like that too. Again, that reminds me of something that you would do in Boy Scouts is if there's something complicated and we need to figure it out, let's just make a song about it.
That's how I know the books of the New Testament.
Oh, yeah?
Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, Romans, 1st and 2nd Corinthians, Galatians. Yeah, I won't do the whole thing. 1st and 2nd Thessalonians, 1st Timothy. Keep going.
Also, Ashley at River8878 wants to know why the water totem did not work for Ray.
He's so much more fiery than water. Water just cannot contain him. He's Ray Palmer.
Yeah. I think it's the kind of thing where you can't just pick it up. It's kind of like a Green Lantern ring where it's got to like fit your personality, or he doesn't earn that totem. Like Mick obviously identifies with fire in that way, that he could handle it, and Ray doesn't have that same kind of relationship with water.
And Sarah and the death totem, I mean, that was made really clear that Sarah, death, and all the associated bad feelings and guilt that goes along with that. But I did think it was kind of interesting that water just didn't gel with him the way one might have hoped.
Yes, definitely. So that was a lot of stuff. Did you like the Damien stuff in here? Do you think his character's better than what's been the rest of the season?
I officially no longer groan when he comes on the screen these days. Good.
That's
huge progress. How about you?
Yeah, I liked it too. This had a lot to like. I loved Grodd stuff. That Grodd was back, even if it was for a small moment. I just thought the way they handled that was great. I thought Damien's arc was good, and you kind of knew that he was going to double cross them in the end, but I felt like it was earned. And the one thing that they did kind of like gloss over that I'm surprised we didn't delve a little deeper on is Ava's confrontation with Rip.
She's the 12th Ava. That's dark.
Yeah.
Not like Damien Dark. I'm just saying that's dark.
Well, also, like, it just felt like he just glossed over that and walked away, and she just let him go.
I would have been like, you killed 11 others of me? I'm sorry. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I feel like that would have been a bigger deal. She did just kind of, like, walk off, so I guess she's just kind of, but... Yeah, I feel like this episode was so crammed that they didn't really have time to give that moment its proper due.
Well, and maybe they will. Maybe they'll circle back in the finale and there'll be more about it. I do think the show is pretty good about continuing those kinds of conversations. So I'm hoping it doesn't let me down here. The other thing I realized was I think I no longer hate Nate. I think officially he is no longer that useless person whose name I barely can move myself to remember. I think I'm okay with him now. I'm not saying I like him, but when you find out that Amaya erased him, that was sad. Yeah. I felt for him. So they've made me feel things for Nate. Well done, Legends. Well done.
Well done. Yeah. And what did you think of Amaya in old makeup?
It could have been a lot worse.
It could have.
It was not bad. You could still see it was her. It didn't look too terrible. So yeah, pretty well done.
Mm-hmm. Sorry if you hear the car horn honking in the background. I can't really help that right now.
Could you throw open your window and scream? I'm podcasting here. I don't know.
Yeah, that would help. All right, I think it's stopped. But we're talking about Amaya. Yeah, I think it was a bold choice to not just cast an older actress, to actually have her in the makeup. I guess you could have gone either way, but yeah, I thought it was interesting. I'm trying to figure out how like her memory wipe got lifted. That's the one thing I'm a little confused on, because at first, like, she didn't recognize Nate, had no idea what he's talking about, and then all of a sudden she just goes up to him and she remembers everything.
I'm gonna chalk it up to the power of love. Makes some men weak and the other men.
Oh, Huey Lewis.
I mean, it's a curious thing, so
yes. All right. Okay. Cool. Was there anything more on Legends?
That covers everything for me. Just again, this is the show I've probably most consistently enjoyed, at least that's airing right now, that has been running all the way through. Yeah. And I'm gonna miss it when the pilot or the finale airs next week.
All right.
Or as you're listening to this week.
Yeah. Any news for Legends?
A little bit, yeah. So Jess McCallan, who plays Ava, will be a regular in season 4. So that is exciting. Indication is that she and Sara may patch some things up. Yeah. I think it'd be kind of interesting if they didn't, and you have her as a regular and you still have those sort of unresolved feelings. A little tension might be kind of nice for a little bit, but I do want those two crazy gals to be happy. So let's see. Showrunner Phil Klemmer said that, we have visited young Obama. Maybe we'll go to the 80s and meet Trump. And I will leave that there. Klemmer also said when we have Constantine full-time in season 4, he really doesn't want to de-cool Constantine. Mm-hmm. Doesn't want to have him doing laundry on the Wave Rider, just doing like day in, day out stuff, because Constantine is cool and you kind of need that air of mystery. So they liked the setup with his apartment, with him with the chicken and, the paying customer. They want to keep that feel. So I don't know if that means he's not going to travel on the Wave Rider, or if he does, if he just won't let them into his quarters. No, get out. I don't know. But I kind of like the thought that they don't want us to find Constantine in an apron, like scrambling eggs. Hey, good morning. What's up?
Yeah, I could see him constantly going to Mick for a light. I can also see him and Gideon getting into it over smoking.
Can you imagine her constantly dousing his cigarettes and him getting so angry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's that for Legends for me.
All right. Moving on to Black Lightning. Season 1, Episode 11. Black Jesus. The Book of Crucifixion. Jefferson and Anissa had trouble tracking down the ASA's cryopods. At the ASA's request, Karen Foudy paid off Chief Kamen and Detective Glennon to plant drugs in Jefferson's car and arrest him. After the arrest, Inspector Henderson became suspicious of Chief Kamen, while Anissa and Gamby tried to throw the ASA off Jefferson's scent. Last minute reveal: Jefferson arrived home and allowed Gamby to join the Pierce family at the dinner table.
Okay, so I am a white lady. So this is coming from a white lady place. But I thought this episode was incredibly powerful. We've seen the wrongly accused, or actually, I mean, kind of rightfully accused, because he is actually Black Lightning, but in this case, the wrongfully accused with the drug planting superhero before, and we have to try to prove that it's not him through subterfuge and things like that. But, oh my God, that, are you resisting? used as a weapon against him, and the humiliation of arresting him in his school where he's a role model. And it's probably more important to him than being Black Lightning, I think, is being a role model for kids as himself, and having to fight, that rage, and because he knows any wrong move could be lethal, literally lethal to him. Oh, just incredibly powerful stuff. And you overlay the superhero component to it, but it just really resonates. And again, that's been your white lady take on police relations with the Black community. Feel free to email me and let me know how I did. But no, I found that incredibly moving and incredibly poignant and incredibly pointed.
Yes.
Also, white people in this episode, God, they were terrible.
Well, remember, there were also some black cops in that precinct who were
That's fair.
beating him up. I think this was very powerful. I'm glad Inspector Henderson. I'm glad that he at least did have an ally in the precinct and someone who was looking out for him. And I thought that was really good. It's funny. I watched this with my father in the room, and I don't know if we've talked about this on the show, but like Inspector Bill Henderson, has been around a long time, to the fact that he was actually a character in the George Reeves Superman TV show from the 1950s.
Really?
Yes.
What?
Yeah, that was... Yeah, because originally, Freeland, the Black Lightning actually kind of patrolled a community on, like, the south end of Metropolis. A place that, like Superman was always too busy to get to. So they dealt a lot with Metropolis PD. So that I think that's kind of where Inspector Henderson comes from. He's actually a Superman character. And because he was in the comics since the 40s, he showed up in the TV show. And that was something we might have talked about. He's been here a while, but I don't know. But my father reminded me of that, and I thought that was really cool to point out.
So can I interrupt for a second and ask, is your dad a comics guy also?
No. He's more of a sci-fi TV geek.
Okay.
He and I mostly share a passion for Star Trek. Superheroes, I kind of went off on my own with that. And this was another one, like the way Gamby kind of got brought back into the fold didn't feel forced to me. I feel like
there are bigger issues, and there are allies and a time for forgiveness, and I don't know, you're right, it made an authentic reconciliation point.
Yeah. It's funny. I feel like it's the kind of thing where, like, yes, you can be really mad at someone, but at a certain point, they're basically family. And you can hold a grudge for a long time, but at a certain point, it just kind of, you fall back into that rhythm, and you can't help. And you could see that Gamby was coming from a good place, even though he was making very poor decisions.
Sure. I feel like we're making this sound like it was no fun at all. It was. This didn't feel like an eat your medicine, take your medicine kind of episode. While it was making these points, It was incredibly entertaining.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like we just turned this into a dissertation on modern day. But no, it was really good, and the hologram stuff was so fun.
Oh yeah. The stuff with Anissa. Yeah. I mean, it's like they are focused on task. I like what they're doing with Foudy, with Mrs. Foudy. I think that turn is great. I think it gives that character a whole new dimension. I also like the fact that she doesn't believe Proctor when he tells her that Jefferson's Black Lightning. Like, she doesn't want to believe it. And that kind of compromises her in a way. I thought that was really cool.
And her hair is flawless. Any woman with hair that sleek is a witch. I mean, amazing. So could you explain to me something that I probably should know by now? What is Anissa's job? Like, she's in medical school, but she hangs out at the high school, but she's a superhero.
Yeah,
and she protests. What is she? do?
She's a part-time teacher. I think that's
okay. But how can you be a part-time teacher if you're? To me, she feels available when the plot needs her to be available, and then she's a medical student when the plot needs her to be a medical student, and I find that a little bit frustrating. But maybe it's because I just haven't paid enough attention to pick up every new. That's the one thing for me. I'm just like, why is she?
Yeah.
She's a great superhero. I'm super enjoying it. It doesn't really matter, but like med student who hangs out at the high school, but fights crime, but protests and knocks over statues. Well, Anissa does it all.
Yeah, and that's one thing I was going to point out that we only have 2 episodes left of Black Lightning, and we're not. And I don't know if we're gonna get any more with Anissa and Grace Choi, which I was really excited for that relationship, and it's been a while since we went back to it. So I don't know how that would play out. Also, I didn't realize we haven't seen Tobias on screen in a while.
He's in the preview for the next episode. I was like, oh, Tobias, he's been gone for several weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. And we also didn't get any of Lala this week. So yeah. I mean, this was a very focused episode, but it did its job well, and it and it's fun. I mean, this show is really strong. One question we have from Ashley at River8878 is when does Jen get to use her powers?
That's a good question. Does that feel like a finale thing, a season 1 finale thing?
Yeah, because I think right now she's really reluctant to use them. She just doesn't want to enter that lifestyle yet. So I think it's going to take time for her to warm up to it. Although now that I said that, we'll see her in costume next week. At the rate that
but I love that she has Lynn, though, to assure her, it's okay. It's okay to be scared, and it's okay to have powers, and it's okay to not know what to do with them or want them. It seems like the best mom to have if you have superpowers that you're not sure you want and you're not sure what to do with.
Definitely. All right. Was there any news for Black Lightning?
Just a tiny little snippet that Stephen Amell made the comment that he's pretty sure a crossover with Arrow and Black Lightning will happen because that's just the way things work on the CW. So a crossover like death and taxes is inevitable.
I mean, he's right, but okay.
I mean, yeah, right. Where's the lie?
All right. So that's it. All right. Next up, Krypton, Season 1, Episode 3, The Rankless Initiative. Seg and Adam learned from Val-El's projection that the Brainiac probe they found released a sentry parasite to find a host and learn about the planet. It turns out Kem and Seg's friend Rom found the sentry in the mountains and was taken over by the parasite. Lyta became commander of the Sagittarii and reluctantly led a raid of Sector 19 hunting for Black Zero terrorists. Last minute reveal, Seg and Adam got Rom to the fortress alive, but Val discovered that she had already transmitted to Brainiac, who was on his way to end Krypton.
Can he do it faster? I'm so sorry, Ed. Okay, so here's what I liked. I very much liked Lyta saying, this distasteful thing is going to happen, so by God, I'm going to be the one to do it because I will do it with the least amount of casualties. That was a great dynamic. I liked the disagreement, the bad blood with her and Seg. Mm-hmm. So that was very cool. I like that a lot. I also am excited for every time Nyssa is on screen, I want to know what her end game is. But I gotta say, the thing I liked the most about this episode was that in the middle, Sci-Fi aired a commercial for Metropolis, Illinois, which, let me tell you, I've been to a couple of times. I've done the Superman Museum. I've done the Superman Festival. I participated in the Superman Strongman weightlifting competition. It is great. You should all go to Metropolis, Illinois, whether for the Superman Festival or not. Sci-Fi had a commercial, and it was marvelous. This has been your PSA from Metropolis, Illinois.
Just to be clear, they are not a sponsor of this podcast.
But we are open to it, Metropolis. I'll say nice things about your museum, which is amazing.
Yeah. I like this episode just fine.
I think it was better than the last one. I enjoyed it more than the last one. I will say that. I thought it was a little lighter, a little bouncier, a little goofier. Not goofy in all places, of course. Obviously, there's a lot of different tones it hits, but Adam, I thought, and Kem were a little more. I enjoyed them a little bit more.
Yeah, I thought there was an interesting, it wasn't like a direct swipe, but I think there was some interesting things shown here, kind of about police brutality, and I thought that was an interesting take, and motivations behind people in uniform who carry weapons. I also Lyda better have a really good lawyer, because she is definitely getting court-martialed at the end of this. I think I tweeted out she needs Lieutenant Caffey from A Few Good Men.
Because I feel like her mom is not going to step up.
No. No. Although, it was weird. I thought, when she had her own soldier arrested, from a leadership perspective, that's a very poor choice to make. But I thought it was a very interesting statement to say that. And this is the kind of thing that you can do in sci-fi when you set it on another planet. That if you had that set in modern day Earth, it would have a very different
very true
reaction to it. It's the kind of thing, it makes you think.
I very much liked her ethical conundrum of trying to do, I guess, the right thing in the right way, and there is no right thing and there is no right way, and she's just doing the best she can. And those kinds of stories I do really enjoy. So I am digging that storyline. It also connected to my favorite bit of scenery, world building, and future tech, which was the face scanner with the dots that scan the face like that. I thought that was very cool, and that felt like a thing that we could see in 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So I like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I thought that was really cool. And
I do think it was probably a mistake to have their friend Rom say there is no Rom, because I assume in America, across this great land of ours, everybody said there is no Rom, only Zool. I think they needed to rethink that line.
Yeah, definitely. And our buddy Ashley at River8878 says she can't wait for Brainiac, and I would agree, because I think a lot of this was okay, all right, let's get to the point. All right, we know Brainiac's coming. You're going to discover this is all just a thing so that we know for sure that Brainiac's coming, and I'm excited to get to that now.
I am too. To me, it's been a little bit more telling than showing. Brainiac scary. Ooh, scary. Scary Brainiac's coming. Scary. Yeah. But we haven't really seen them. We've seen him and he looks menacing, but we haven't seen the menace. And this isn't helped because I'm a Supergirl fan. We are all Supergirl fans because we are DC TV fans, right? And the Brainiac 5 on there is a little different. So my Brainiac reference is kind of goofy, stiff, nerdy, computery guy. And so this menace thing, I don't know, it's just not 100% working for me because we just haven't seen him in action much. He just sort of appears in extreme close-up, and then we see his ship. But I think probably for a comic reader, it's very different.
Yeah. I would refer I would refer you to the first few episodes of the Superman animated series from the mid-90s. The Bruce Timm Paul Dini stuff. The way Brainiac is woven into that, especially with the part he plays in the destruction of Krypton, I think might give you a better feel for what we're in store for.
Okay. I desperately was hoping you would say to the first couple of episodes of Lois and Clark.
Oh, sorry.
Because that would have been really funny.
But yeah, okay. All right, so, we're gonna reserve judgment,
I mean, it's building. It's building to things, and they are deepening the characters a little bit. It didn't grab me right away, but I'm hoping it's the kind of thing that's going to reward the more we watch.
Yeah, definitely. Let's hope. Any news for Gotham?
No,
for
real
Krypton?
news.
All right.
Yep.
All right, so on to Gotham. Season 4, Episode 17, A Dark Night. Mandatory brunch meeting. Jim and Harvey discovered Jerome was trying to track down an engineer named Xander Wilde, who had a mysterious connection to Jerome. Lee tried beating Riddler at his own game for control of the Narrows. Oswald tried getting friendly with Grundy. Last minute reveal, Jerome brought in a test subject to show off his new laughing gas.
Gotham's getting serious.
Yeah.
So I so adored the opening shots of Bruce storming through the hall. I feel like this is the most Batman we've ever seen him on this show, isn't it?
It's close. I think in the beginning of this season, when you had him running around rooftops in a suit with no ears, that was like, that was pretty close. But yeah, you definitely got that vibe. You know, he's going against Jim now. He's like, no, you don't understand. Like, I'm on a mission. You're not going to stop me. I wish we had a little bit more Bruce and Alfred in this episode, but.
Same. I've been really missing Alfred, and I don't usually miss characters when they're not. I'm like Poison Ivy. I haven't really missed her absence, but I wish we had a little more Alfred because that falling out was so crucial, and we've kind of wandered away from that, and that's too bad. I would have liked to see more fence mending there.
Yes.
I also appreciated that the previouslys did remind us that by letting criminals go routinely rather than kill them, Batman is the world's greatest mass murderer. If he would just, this is the refrain in my household, the greatest mass murderer, Batman, who's just like, you rascal, off to Arkham. Yeah, he's going to get out and kill a bunch of dudes. You just got to kill him. I'm sorry, Batman. You're murdering people. Indirectly.
All right. So what did you think of Xander, our Jeremiah?
Interesting. Slippery. I liked the I like the slipperiness and the different performance and approach to it. Yeah. I guess it wasn't what it should have been what I expected. I should have known they would have the polar opposite, right? But I didn't, for some reason, expect that and was like, oh, this is very sedate.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I thought it was an interesting twist, a twin brother, and I thought that was great acting. Is it Cameron Monaghan? Is that the actor's name? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I thought that was great acting on his part, distinguishing the two. And
yes, definitely. And I also like the reveal that, he lied about Jerome. That Jerome didn't actually try to set him on fire. It was headed that way and they both know it, but that he actually, I feel like he kind of took the offensive and had his brother sent away, which sort of, when you think he's just a complete victim, it's one thing. And then Jerome actually confronts him and says, you lied. Ooh, that kind of changes things.
Yeah. And there's a whole other guilt factor that goes into that. Now, at Bowerfett, points out, his pseudonym was Xander Wilde, and his real first name is Jeremiah. Could that mean Joker's Wild?
Fun in joke.
Yeah,
very fun.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Jerome is gonna be the Joker, but I don't think that Jeremiah will be either. I think that might be a misdirect.
You don't think? I assumed the gas, the Scarecrow's gas at the end of this episode directly predicted Jeremiah's going to get hit with the gas and it's going to turn into the Joker. Is that way too obvious?
Oh, you think it's that? Yeah, I still think I still think it might be someone complete. I'm hanging on to the idea that we don't know the Joker's real origin. I like that idea. I think it's crowded in mystery. That's what I loved the most about the Dark Knight with Heath Ledger.
The slippery backstory.
Yeah. So I'm hoping it's someone completely random. Kind of like, I was talking about this with our executive producer Bill Sweeney. There was an episode, I think it was season 2. 1 or 2, where you had the Red Hood gang. And it was basically the Red Hood was just this red ski mask that kept floating away, and a different person would pick it up and end up getting kind of possessed by it. You know, and in the comics, the one thing you do know about Joker is that he used to be the Red Hood before he got pushed into that vat of gas into that vat of acid by Batman. You know, so I doubt that that's going to show up in the next few weeks, but
with this show, I mean,
yeah,
it could happen.
Yeah. I mean, that would be like a real stretch if they picked up that storyline so much time later. But to me, it would be cool. But yeah, and the Oswald Grundy stuff seemed very shoehorned. Like we just needed.
Yeah, I like the Grundy stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm interested in that, but you're right. In a busy episode with what I felt were slightly bigger stakes, that felt a little, let's get back to the other stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I loved the stuff with Lee and the Riddler.
Holy cow. That was kind of sexy, right? That was...
Yeah, that was
It just made me make a noise I haven't made in a long time. Yeah, I'm like that. Yes.
yeah. Like, oh, this is really creepy, but whoa.
I know. I shouldn't be enjoying this in the manner that I am enjoying this.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought that it was a very simple, easy setup, and like you could have literally done that scene in about 3 minutes, but I didn't care because I thought they dragged it out, and I thought it got Miranda Baccarin a chance to stretch her legs.
This is my favorite version of Lee.
Yeah,
that the show has given, because the show has given us several versions of Lee. I really like this one.
Yeah, I concur. All right.
I think that's... I did see... I think it was comicbook.com suggesting that Echo, Jeremiah's assistant, could she be Harley Quinn, given her level of dedication and devotion to Jeremiah. I say no, that's way too easy. But that was what they proposed, and I thought that was worth bringing up.
Yeah. And if Harley Quinn's going to show up, I think she should be more like Selena and Bruce's age. That's just me. But yeah, all right. So, last show, but I think. All right, let's just do this. So,
just strap in. Just get it done.
Arrow, Season 6, Episode 17, Brothers in Arms. After coming to terms with the fact that Ricardo Diaz has the city under his thumb, Oliver, Felicity, and Diggle tried to bust the Vertigo operation in Star City. Tensions between Diggle and Oliver over the Green Arrow mantle reached a boiling point. Dinah and Curtis struggle to protect a group of clean cops from Diaz and Anatoly's retribution. Black Siren decided to help Diaz and read some law books Quentin gave her, even though she is not his daughter! God damn it, what are you thinking? Didn't she drop out of high school because her dad was a drunk jerk? How is she supposed to even understand those law books? Last minute reveal. While thanking Laurel for the impeachment pickle she cooked up for Oliver, Diaz showed her that not all of the Vertigo was destroyed.
All right, just 1 sec. One second. That's me pouring a little bit more wine if I have to talk about this episode. So off mic, Ed and I were like, well, we're either going to talk about this for 2 minutes or 25 minutes because this episode, I don't... Okay.
Also, the New York affiliate of the CW, the Thursday night that this aired around the country, thought they'd be better off showing the New York Yankees Baltimore Orioles game. So I didn't see this the night it aired. I actually watched it literally right before we started recording.
So this is really fresh for Ed. Did America's team at least win? Are the Yankees America's team? Oh my God!
No, that's the Dallas Cowboys in football.
God damn it!
No, the Yankees.
That's what I get for trying any sports. Anything.
Yeah, it's funny. I watched Gotham and I was pumped for that and ready to do. And I flipped on the CW and I got to see the Yankees lose to the Orioles.
Wait, the Dallas Cowboys are America's team? I would like a recount, please.
Well, I mean, at least that's what they've called themselves since the 70s.
Ridiculous. All right, continue.
Yeah. So, yeah.
All right, so this episode. I understand that there are certain end game plot points that this show wants to get to for the finale. Mm-hmm. But let's count. I don't have enough fingers to count the number of characters they have assassinated to get there. And I don't really care what you do to Dinah. I don't care what you do to Renee. Whatever. Take the newbies, drag them through the mud. I hate all of them. It's fine. But when you do this to John Diggle, when you make John Diggle behave in ways that make no logical sense, that have no bearing on the relationship he and Oliver have had for this many years, when you make him actually literally say to Lila, I don't know where this is coming from. Yeah, no, neither do we. It doesn't make any sense because the writers are bad people who are doing bad things to you. That's when I start rage tweeting about
yeah.
Why would they do this?
Yeah.
Like, John, they have a relationship where if John had problems with Oliver's leadership, we've seen him over and over the season say, hey man, I don't think you should do that. And they talk it out. And for him to just be like, let me tell you all the things that have been building up for 6 years that I hate about you. And that fight, they knew exactly how to tear each other apart. They knew what buttons to push. They knew the deepest hurt, and they used it, and it was so hard to watch, and it was from such a stupid, insincere, contrived place. I watched this last night, and I'm still real angry about it. So, Ed, it's fresher for you. Go, say things.
Yeah, so the thing I was struggling for the last 4 episodes that we've covered, I think I've mentioned at least 2 or 3 points where, characters were having a conflict and it was resolved, and I felt like it was earned. And I think that Arrow really needs to watch those shows because this was not earned, that conflict. I think it came out of nowhere. It didn't feel right. And there were like several different moments where I was throwing my hands up. It was the blow up that, the blow up that Oliver and Diggle had that you were just talking about, that scene, which I thought was overacted because of the poor writing. It just felt like they were trying to top each other. And at a certain point, it's like, I got nowhere else to go. So we're just screaming for the last 3 minutes.
See, and I thought the acting was fantastic. I thought they acted the hell out of that, but it was such a bad scene.
Yeah,
just poorly written.
Yeah, I thought they did the best they could. But that escalated so quickly that by the time you got to the hard stuff, it just felt like white noise.
Like, if they come back in the next episode and say, it's so weird, Felicity scanned John's brain and there was a worm in there that was making him behave abnormally. She removed it. It's better now. I'd be like, oh, okay. Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. That is how out of character this is.
Yeah. Another point that maybe just like cringe, when Lila just said, oh, yeah, I just figured out you hacked my computer to get, to let Kate and James introduce a virus into Argus. Oh, that's okay. We're fine.
Oh, you rascal.
And then she offers him a job. The whole thing with Quentin and Laurel, which I think I've said my piece on that in the recap. I don't think.
Well, okay, so here's my thing. In a season that has given us such stupid things, Quentin suggesting that she home law school herself may be the stupidest. And that is, saying something. Oh. And, of course of course she and Diaz are... That's not surprising. It's not interesting. And, oh, she found out about impeachment from the law. I don't think impeachment is in a law book. Arrow, I want to love you. I want to love you. Why are you doing this to me? I feel personally victimized. Also, let me tell you, things I don't care about. Curtis's 2-minute-old relationship with that cop.
Yeah.
I don't care about that. I don't care about that at all.
That was the last one where I literally had to pause and for like 5 minutes and go like, this when he walks in to the apartment, and Curtis thinks he's gonna break, and then just like half mentions to Dinah, oh yeah, as Captain Hill, who the mayor fired, after being fired, she fired all of us clean cops. And then Dinah just walks up, and that's just like left to hang in the air. That this one cop who was disgraced, who we know was fired, but was also, as she was on her way out, allowed to fire a bunch of other cops. Like, none of this makes sense.
Last season, I recapped Arrow for EW.com, and I really loved it. And I'm not recapping it this season, and I was a little bummed that the assignments got shifted. But you know what? Blessing. It's a blessing, because I honestly don't know how I would keep from just all caps rage writing. Like, what? Who are these facsimiles of characters I used to love? I don't understand. Also, can we talk about, you can keep saying, oh, Diaz has already won. He's 10 steps ahead of you. No. Sir and ma'am, we knew Prometheus. We knew Slade Wilson. You, Dragon Diaz, are no Prometheus or Slade Wilson. Like, already won? No, 10 steps ahead? No, Diaz is nothing. This is a terrible villain.
Yeah, mostly because he's only on screen for about 45 seconds an episode.
and he's not, and I like Kirk Acevedo. I like that actor. I've seen and enjoyed him in many things, but they're giving him nothing to work with. This whole season is...
Yeah.
I am disappointed.
Well, let's go to the tweets.
Okay.
Let's go to the tweets. At Bauer-Fett. Okay, so you don't like Iris as a team leader, but Felicity needs to lead Team Arrow for a while. I'll agree with that.
Yeah, I'll allow it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we have a very long dissertation of 4 tweets from @SouthernSiren, which is very good. I'm just going to go through because I think this reiterates a lot of our points, and it really sums up everything nicely. I adore Diggle, but his reasoning this week made no sense. I hate anyone in OTA fighting with each other, but I can be okay if it makes sense. The acting by Stephen and David was A+, but the story was at D-.
Yep.
So Oliver's a bad leader when he doesn't trust the team. Now he's a bad leader that he wanted to find out who on the team was trying to get him life in prison. I'm sorry, having Diggle echo some of NTA's problems with Oliver still won't make me like them.
Yep.
Curtis is supposedly smart, right? So why wear your costume on a mission with your anti-vigilante boyfriend? Seriously, Curtis, you didn't think that hoodie you were wearing wouldn't reveal anything in a fight? Totally still don't trust that guy, but Curtis will.
Yep.
I totally think Oliver outs himself as Green Arrow this season. He might be in jail over hiatus. Let's see how well the city fares without Oliver fighting for them. My guess, it won't be well, and they will be begging to get Oliver free.
That would be interesting, if that is what they're leading toward. And I don't know, can we transition to the news a little bit? Because I feel like that ties into it.
Well, yeah, one thing I will say, and I think this is a perfect transition to the news, because there is some news contained in this email from Janie. And this is someone who neither of us knows, so that's exciting. She discovered us a few weeks ago, and I'm just gonna.
Hey, girl, thanks for listening.
Yeah. She has some things to say about Arrow, and she also believes that the Diggle Oliver conflict came out of nowhere. She doesn't understand why Diggle suddenly wants to be Green Arrow. doesn't think it makes sense, and she's worried that it's harming his character. And she also points out that evidently Stephen Amell doesn't even seem to be buying it, and she sent us a link to a TV Line article where in an interview he basically Amell says that he's tired of Oliver losing his support system every year. Especially since this season he's been making some pretty mature decisions. And he even admits that Diggle's motivations are a reach. I think that's an interesting take. It does seem like the show is repeating itself a bit. I will point out that I had a very different idea for this season that, people have told me would have been outrageous, but I don't know. To have Oliver going solo, with Will going back, with Will kind of as his Robin, and no one else. I think, and flashing back to right after Lian Yu, building up after everyone died.
Oh wait, is this your everybody died on Lian Yu and it's just Oliver and William?
Yeah, that was my theory. I don't understand how this is better than that. I don't know. Yeah. I know you don't like that idea, but
well, I mean, I don't want Felicity to die, and John, except for this week. I don't want John to die. Period.
Yeah. The problem I'm gonna say is this show keeps making false promises that it knows it's never going to deliver on, and I'm getting tired of it.
Well, first, can I say I like an emailer who cites her sources and sends us the research, so thank you for that. But this pivots then into news, kind of. Mark Guggenheim did an interview with EW and said that the finale is going to be, speaking of promises that he can't deliver, finale will be unexpected and unprecedented. It will have a cliffhanger, but not the island blows up, oh my god, who's alive kind of cliffhanger, but a where does Oliver go now kind of cliffhanger. So, unexpected, unprecedented. I'm sorry. I don't believe you. No, sir. But it does make me wonder, I mean, could it be Oliver pulls an Iron Man and says, yep, I'm the Green Arrow? That would definitely be a where does he go now situation. I don't know that will happen. At this point, I mean, it can't be any worse than what they've been giving us. Maybe they should try that for a while.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, all right. I really hate bashing a show. I just want to say we just went to task on this for about 15 minutes, and I feel sick to my stomach about it because I want to like this show, and there are parts of this that I like, but the stuff that stands out, it really bothers me. And I don't. I like to think positively about these shows, and that's why we cover them. And I really hope that this gets better.
Well, and I don't think we'd care so much if we didn't, as you say, like the characters, care about the show, care about the consistency, because they've given us a good world for 5.5 seasons. So
yeah.
We just want you to be better, Arrow.
All right. I think it's time to move to news on other shows.
Okay, so good news. Hey, some good news. The CW has renewed all of its Arrowverse shows.
Yay!
So your Arrow, your Flash, your Legends, your Black Lightning, your Supergirl are all coming back next season. The only DC show that was not renewed is iZombie, because it's just a little early yet. They haven't had that many episodes, so that's not great. I wish we could have said all the DC shows are renewed, but they're not. For me, I'm very also excited that Jane the Virgin and Crazy Ex-Girlfriend are going to both have final seasons next season, so that's cool. For me, what was interesting, though, was that Deadline reports that the CW may start playing with season lengths next year, including Arrowverse shows. So we might see more short seasons. We might see more 13-episode seasons, for example, like iZombie, like Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. So we shall see. If that happens, do you have a show that you think would benefit from a shorter season, like a Black Lightning shorter season?
It's weird. I think Arrow might be more compact. I think if you made Arrow leaner, I think you can and took it in a different direction. I think a shorter season might help that. As far as the others, like Supergirl, I can see Legends, just because that show is so, big and unwielding. I think you might be able. See, it's weird. Like if you scale down those episodes, would you have the same budget for the season? If maybe they could make it that pop a little bit more, but I don't know. I mean, shorter seasons are usually better, but
yeah, there are very few shows anywhere across any genre that I don't think would be improved with probably a few fewer episodes, honestly.
Yeah. But yeah. I think any of those shows, it depends on what direction they want to go in. But we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. If we can get maybe 2 shows that go the whole thing, and then the other 3 kind of switch off or something like that. I don't know.
I think it'd be kind of cool to have shows that hand the baton off, as you say, that you have Arrow run for a little bit, and then you can maybe hand it over to. Man, this is just because 7 episodes damn near killed me last week, so they can space those out. But then I understand you have the crossover and things, and you want to be able to lead up to that with all your shows. So there's a lot that goes into it, I'm certain.
Yeah.
Anyway, good news. Still nothing on the other shows, though. Still waiting to hear about Lucifer and Gotham and all those shows we love. Speaking of, we transition into some individual shows.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, so Lucifer, we have a title for episode 21, airing on April 23rd. That's the second episode after it comes back next week. Anything Pierce can do, I can do better, is the episode title, which I love. Apparently it's going to be set in the world of ballet. I don't know, could we get the 2 of them ballet dancing? I hope so. I don't have any evidence for that, but that would be great. The description also says Lucifer will be interrupted as he prepares to make a huge confession to Chloe. So...
Prediction.
Yes.
We don't see Lucifer or Marcus dancing, but Detective Douche definitely gets in there.
Him or Ella? I feel like one of those 2 will be the dancers.
Yeah, no. I think
Detective Douche.
I think Dan. I think Dan is definitely like we may even see him in a.
And he'll be in tights. He'll be fully in man tights, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. He has to. All right, that's exciting.
Yeah. So in iZombie news, we have another episode title. April 16th episode will be Don't Hate the Player, Hate the Game, where Liv will eat Playboy brain, which I hope means she'll just start randomly hitting on everybody and making them super uncomfortable.
All right. Now, one quick thing before we go off iZombie, because there wasn't an episode this week, but we did have an email regarding it from Agent Palmer.
Is that how it's pronounced? Agent
Palmer? I don't know. Agent Palmer. And he basically said that he's seen a few episodes of iZombie, which I know, his girlfriend just started watching iZombie. So
I'm so pleased for both of them. They have such a journey ahead of them.
Yeah. Well, he can't get over the fact that he thinks it's very similar. He finds a lot of similarities between the show and True Calling, the Eliza Dushku TV show from the early aughts. And he believes that True Calling was better, which
bold. Those are fighting words.
Bold statement. I was not a regular fan of True Calling. However, my sister was a huge fan. And Elijah Dushku. Yeah, and I remember that show. I could tell you the differences between it. Basically, like with True Calling, there was no zombie element. She just worked in a morgue and was getting visions about the people in the morgue. And it was more of a straight up procedural. There weren't as, the quirky elements in iZombie really make it stand out. Although that show had Zach Galifianakis, and I'll be honest, the only thing I remember about that show, have you ever seen the documentary, like I think it's called The True Comedians of Comedy? Maria Bamford, Zach Galifianakis, Patton Oswalt, and Brian Posehn. Basically, like, touring the country. And Zach Galifianakis catches up with them right after True Calling was canceled. And basically talks about, like, oh yeah, I just came from interviews and I told them all it was going to get canceled. He'd been doing that like a couple of weeks before it was announced.
Oops.
He had no desire to be on that show anymore, which I find very funny. But yeah, if you want a good throwback, go check out that show. But I will stand. I think iZombie is more fun.
Well, certainly I fell in love with iZombie from the pilot and didn't miss an episode. And True Calling, I checked out because, Buffy. I was going to watch anything that any of them did after that. And I don't know that I stayed past the first episode or two. So I'm sorry, Palmer. I cannot vouch for your theory because I just didn't watch enough.
Yeah.
But nobody ate brains, so I'm bouncing.
Yeah, I mean, to me, True Calling is much more like Ghost Whisperer than it is iZombie.
Now, there's a show I watched every episode of because I'm somebody's 55-year-old aunt.
All right,
yeah.
All right. So I think I worked in all of our emails and tweets, at least the ones that I
seamlessly too. Yeah. May I congratulate you, sir? That was well done.
Thank you.
Let's see. So moving on to news for Supergirl. Greg Berlanti would love to introduce an adult Lex Luthor. Season 2, we saw Lex Luthor in flashbacks. He'd love to show an adult. Katie McGrath, who plays Lena Luthor, suggests Bruce Willis, possibly as an adult Lex Luthor, and what he has going for him there is he is bald. That is my addition, not Katie McGrath's addition.
Yeah. Not a fan of Bruce Willis as Lex Luthor. Just, I think I don't know. Also, I personally, being a huge fan of Kevin Smith and knowing the conflict that those two had on Cop Out and in general, Bruce Willis, I don't know. I don't think he's that nice a guy. Don't get me wrong. I love all his past work and Die Hard and everything else, but I feel like the last 15 years he's been phoning it in.
I feel like 15 is generous.
Yeah. Okay. Like post Armageddon, you think? Was it
I'm sorry, Armageddon was a perfect movie. I will physically fight anyone who says otherwise.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, but that was 20 years ago.
Let's see. The M. Night Shyamalan, Unbreakable.
Oh, okay.
He was great in Unbreakable.
Okay.
And that was, 2000? Mm-hmm. We watched that the night before my wedding. So it was 2000.
All right.
Because I've been married for 100 years. So.
Yeah, no. And so I'm not so hot on that yet. Also, I think he's too old to be Lena's brother.
Yeah.
And
he's way too
to
old.
be Lillian Luthor's son. I think he's older than that actress.
Yeah, he could be Lillian Luthor's love interest, but yeah, her son, that would be a little strange.
Yeah.
There are other bald actors out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like Michael Rosenbaum isn't doing much. You could call him. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's... Ooh, wow. That's a pull. That's... The fact that he doesn't show up for the Smallville finale and then does this... Wow. That's a...
Even better if somehow he shows up on Lucifer. Because, he and Clark were meant to be together.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Let's see. Last week we talked, I mentioned that previews for the episode when it returns on April 16th shows some karaoke. Apparently in the writer's room, they've been calling it karaoke, which made me happy because I love puns and dad jokes.
Puns. All right.
Yeah, every comedian's friend. Okay, moving on to The Flash. Carlos Valdez, who plays Cisco, has been doing a couple of interviews around town, and he's talking a lot about the Harrison Wells thinking cap connection and how it's going to reveal some dark secret issues. To me, it sounds like Harrison's going to go down a bad road with that thinking cap. So, Yeah, look out for that. And the episode coming up, Flash took a tiny little break, and it's coming back this week. And we see the second to last bus meta, Null, whose look is really flashy. She's clearly not trying to hide her identity. There's no masks or anything, so she's just out there. Danny Trejo returns.
Yay.
And it looks like he and Cisco, I know, I'm so excited. He and Cisco do not see eye to eye, or more accurately, perhaps, he holds Cisco up by the neck so they do see eye to eye, if you know what I mean. Kevin Smith, your buddy, directed this episode. And I don't want to ruin anything that might be a fun reveal, but he may be appearing in this episode with a familiar face.
Ooh, yay. Yeah, no.
I just think it'll be fun.
He spoils everything on his podcast. So we all know this is Jason Mewes. So they're not actually Jay and Silent Bob, but you will see Jay and Silent Bob on screen some point in a bit part.
I just need Kevin Smith to shrug really expressively but silently. That's what I need.
That's all anybody needs.
Yeah. Let's see. So last little bit of news. This was happy for me, and I'm sorry that we don't actually have a recording of me finding this out, but I had put in my notes, it's not DC, but I don't even care, because FX has ordered a pilot episode of the outstanding graphic novel, Why the Last Man. And I was like, Ed, I don't even care. It's not DC. I don't care. I want to talk about it. Why the Last Man might be getting a pilot order. It's been in development hell for like 5 years. Super exciting. And Ed very calmly says to me,
well, actually, Why the Last Man is a Vertigo title, so this is definitely a DC TV show.
We could cover Why the Last Man. I'm so excited. That's the best well actually that's ever happened to me.
Yes.
So yeah, that's what they've been trying to develop this into a show since 2013, I want to say.
Yeah.
And FX has finally ordered a pilot. I don't know what I think about FX as a fit for that. But you know what? No, I don't care. This is exciting.
Yeah. Well, it was at HBO for a while. I think there was also a movie script on the table at some point. But yeah, this has been in development hell for a long time. I always thought that Anton Yelchin would have made the perfect Yorick, and sadly he's passed away.
Oh, interesting.
And
oh yeah, he would have been good.
So I mean, again, this is a pilot order, so
yeah, it's not a promise. I know.
No, it's not a promise. But
let me just.
I would say this, I think, has a much better chance than the last few shows that we've mentioned here. I think this is kind of on the level of of the Watchmen show at HBO, which basically if they especially cable networks, I feel like they are much more likely to give a series an order if they make the pilot than a network would be.
Well, and I will say, any of the anybody listening who is not a real comic reader, especially women who are not comic readers, I haven't read a lot, but I read and loved Why the Last Man. It's compact. I mean, it has a start and an end, so you can pick it up and you can finish it, and it's satisfying. Amazing female characters. The gist is that a plague has wiped out all men on Earth except for Yorick and his companion monkey, and so it's an incredible read. So if you're not a comic person but you've always kind of wanted to pick one up, this is a great one to choose. Hey, DC book report. Yeah. Possibility.
Yeah, and I've
so anyway.
Yeah, it's written by Brian K. Vaughan, drawn by Pia Guerra. Brian K. Vaughan, I think, pound for pound,
one of the best comic writers out there.
Yeah. Who also writes Saga and Paper Girls, and yeah, this was. I would say it's his first masterpiece. So yeah, and they're quick reads too. Like, you just flow through them. You can get through a trade paperback in probably about 45 minutes.
Oh yeah.
And yeah. I think there's 10 small trades of them. It was about 60 issues or so.
Look, I have them. I will lend them to you. Just let me know. I want people to read this.
So definitely. All right. That was the last bit of news, right?
Yep. Yes, sir. Right.
So our winners for this week. I'll kick it off. And trying to find themes. I'm going to say we had 2 really good holograms in this episode.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. Black Lightning. The way Gamby figured out how to have Black Lightning show up while Jefferson Pierce was in jail. And on Krypton, you had the projection of Val-El. It talked to Seg-El and Adam Strange and figure out what was going on with that Brainiac probe.
Yeah, good. That's a good one. Okay, so mine, we had a lot of bad cops this week. Black Lightning had bad cops, Arrow had bad cops, Krypton had bad cops. I would like to shout out two very good cops, both of them on Gotham, and that is Jim and Harvey, who had two of my favorite lines of the episode, where Harvey, who was victimized by the Mad Hatter last week, sees the Mad Hatter and says, "You're not hypnotizing me again." And then Jim, when realizing that he has entered a building that is just one giant labyrinth, says in this hilariously resigned voice, "You mean this place is a maze?" And it's just so, I'm a cop in Gotham. Of course this place is a maze. What did I expect? It was a small moment for both of those men in the middle of a busy, crazy episode, but it spoke to me. Good cops, just like, damn it, this is my life, and I'm just going to deal with it, and hats off to them. But also, Jim, you know what? # grow the stash.
Grow the stash. All right. Well, that's the DCTV report for this week. You can find us on Twitter I'm at Edward O'Hare TBD.
And I'm at Sara Netzley, SaraNetzley.
And be sure to follow the show on Twitter at DCTV Report. Send along your emails to dctv@wickedtheory.com. Also, be sure to subscribe to our app on your subscribe to our show on your podcast app of choice, and check out our sister shows, the Wicked Theory Podcast and Preacher vs. Preacher. This has been a Wicked Theory Studios production. Executive producer, Bill Sweeney. Visit us at wickedtheory.com. Shazam, everybody.
Shazam.
Shazam!